What it do? Modified 95. You know what day it is. It's hot tank day. That was the last piece we needed, was this propane tank. I just got home from work, so I'm gonna fire this bad boy up. It's pretty windy outside, but we're only really hot tanking one thing because I still wasn't able to get the head off the B18A1, but the B18C, the head's completely off and just needs to be cleaned. So that's gonna go in the hot tank by itself. So I'll probably do a 50-50 mixture of the degreaser and water, just enough to keep it submerged. And so I'll have more degreaser for later projects. This propane tank was like $74 at Lowe's. I don't know if that was the best deal I could get, but now that I have one, I can just keep exchanging this one, and it's only like 25 bucks. So I'm finally part of the club. All right, so let's go. That's gonna be the main focus of this video. If we can do anything else, we will. So I'm just gonna figure this out, and I'm hoping that my trash can is watertight. I saw in a video where he sealed his up with like caulking on the seams, but in the other video I watched, he did not. So we're gonna go with the did not version and hope it works. So give me 5 on my black hand side and let's go. Even though it's hurricane force winds out here, I think I will set up some kind of barrier to block the wind to allow this to happen without all the gas or flame being blown away. So we have the propane tank, which is in the car. The car's in the driveway currently because I need to fill the coolant. I think it was a little low, so I'm letting it cool. I'm gonna top that off. The Zep heavy duty citrus cleaner, that's the one that was suggested because it's aluminum safe, which is a large part of a head. And I think there also is some steel parts in there. It's also steel safe. This is the trash can. It's just a metal trash can that can handle some heat. I will take the sticker off. That's a 31 gallon that came from Lowe's. I wanted the smaller one just so I didn't need to heat up as much volume, but I'm not even gonna fill this up all the way. Plus we have the top, which I think is gonna be helpful at sealing the heat in. And then this was probably the cheaper of the burners I could find. So this whole setup is probably under $200, and I plan to use it more than once. So hopefully 3 or 4 times of using it will make up for what it would cost to go to a shop and have this done. The closest machine shop to me is about an hour away. So including the trip both ways, it should pay for itself very quickly. So I'm gonna open this up, set it up. All the hoses should be in here that will allow it to connect directly to the tank. If it does not, well, it sucks to be me, because I will really put a wrench in the works, because then I will not have time today to get this done before the sun goes down. But everything's looking pretty good so far. All right, my housemate came out of hibernation. He's doing better. He had to spend some time in the hyperbaric time chamber and some Zenzu beans, and now he's on his feet. But we have everything assembled together. This is pretty cool little kit from Amazon.
Oh, never mind.
Luckily they do hopefully made up correctly, so we're still figuring that out. But we drug the hose over from the front of the house. This is our backyard. It's just full of spare tires and spare things. I think that's my wagon bumper, my old front torsion bar that we're not going to use because we're replacing it. But this is where we're going to do it. We're pretty sheltered from the wind back here because the wind seems like it's coming from the north to the south. And so we are just going to get this thing fired up, and we don't know how high the flames are, so we wanted to put a little bit of space between, and so we're testing it out right now. So we'll get back, the thing should be percolating, then we'll put the head in, start filling the liquids. I took a second. We had to make sure that this went in far enough to release this, because we took it back apart. We were blowing through here and making sure there was nothing in the line, because when we first set it up, it was not working, but it seems like the flames go pretty high. We should probably turn this off right now so that we do not mess up the trash can. I know water is a very good insulator, so I'm not worried about putting the head right on the bottom. It should be fine.
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't, because there's going to be a ton of water.
Liquid to insulate it. Yeah, so it sounds good. All right, so let's get the head. I'm going to bring it over here.
Yeah, it's pretty hot because galvanized releases a gas that's poisonous.
Yeah, that's why we are outside. Yeah, it's pretty warm in there. Cool, here we go. All right, so we're giving the water some time to warm up, but we are going to throw this in here. Yes, trash cans are not sealed, so you can see a little bit of leaks coming out of here. So we'll just continue to keep topping it off with water as we watch this and make sure it never gets to a point where it's all the way dry. But yeah, next time we would definitely seal this up before we do this a second time. But so far it is working. Still not too hot to touch because I'm leaning on it right now. But we ported the intake side of this, and so there's a lot of metal shavings in this. So we're just gonna dump it in here to let it get all the way clean, and then we can pressure wash all that stuff out of there and then re-oil everything so it'll be ready after it's dry, so it's ready for reassembly. So I'm hoping that the Zep degreaser has time to do its thing while this is heating up. The water leaks are not super major. You can see them dripping pretty good though. It's pretty much only in the bottom. Like the sides seem pretty well sealed up. Maybe a little bit right there is leaking, but this is a pretty good amount of water, so it's gonna take a while to heat this. So we'll keep checking it. We filled it up past the head because that's the only thing in here. I wish we had more stuff to stick in here at the moment. And then we put the top on there so that heat can start to build. And yeah, we're just playing the waiting game. We'll keep checking back on this. I'm gonna set a timer for probably 10 minutes. I think every 10 minutes I'm gonna check on this and see if it needs more water. And in the meantime, this thing's just gonna run and create heat. So hope for the best. Maybe we can do something more productive in the meantime. So moving back to the B18A teardown, I was able to employ the help of my housemate, mostly to hold the engine so it didn't roll away. And this much longer breaker bar. This is longer than the breaker bar I was using. It's longer than torque wrench. Someone commented on my video, do not use chrome sockets on impact tools. And as you can see, this is not an impact tool, but I'm actually using a impact socket. It's a cheap one I got off eBay. So let's finish getting the head off. Once those bolts are off, it should lift off and we'll get the surprise we were looking for. Survey says probably a blown head gasket. I don't know if the head gasket's still attached. I didn't see one. Everything else around here looks pretty clean. Yeah, let's check it out. Oh, there's a head gasket in here. Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna need a lot of love. So I think there's probably room in the hot tank, so I might just take this out back and drop it in. I'm not gonna bother taking the sensors out because this one was already out on the GSR head. This one I tried to take out on the GSR head and it snapped off in there, so hopefully we can fix that or just figure out some sort of workaround so it still works. So I'm gonna go dump this in the head, or with the other head, into the hot tank. And I'm also gonna check on it because it's been about 5 minutes, so I have my clock set for 10 minutes, and every 10 minutes it'll beep, and I'll go check it and add more water and hope that the water is getting warmer. I know that should probably take at least an hour or so for such a small burner to heat such a large volume of water. So we're about 20 minutes in, about 2.5 minutes left before we go check it. Second head went in there, fit just fine. The water level staying pretty good. So with this, I just gave it a quick coating of Easy Off. I'm letting it soak for a few minutes. Then I'll give it a scrub and just rinse it off, because who wants to deal with a greasy motor? Should still be oil in this, so I'm being mindful of that when I do my cleaning. And I'm not gonna put the water hose into it just to blow it out, because that's not the part that needs to be cleaned. That can get cleaned in a different way, but the external can definitely take a quick scrub. And I'm gonna go look in the house. I'm 99% sure I have vinegar, and apparently vinegar is the opposite of rust, and they don't get along. So I'm gonna put that in the cylinders and hope to clean them up. I would like not to have to take this to a machine shop to keep with the budget theme and just let it soak. If we can get those pistons free, then we can hone those cylinders and then measure them to see how they are. And also, because we haven't drained the oil, because we're waiting for the engine stand to open up, I don't know if anything happened where like a bearing spun and the head gasket blew, because when it rains, it pours. That's what happened to me when my thrust washer bearing let go, and then the cylinder filled with liquid. It was bad across the board. So a lot of bad things were going on. So hopefully what we see is what we get right here. All right, it feels like it's getting sunnier, which is very nice. I was just about to put my sweatshirt on. I'm always wearing the wrong outfit for the job I'm doing because I prioritize comfort over utility. And so everything I'm wearing is super filthy now. But that's why we wash things. So up close and personal. There's a lot of grime from this thing sitting out. You know, the head gasket, probably blown, definitely blown. Head is in the hot tank. Both heads are in the hot tank. So hopefully we see good results for that. I think it's about 30-40 minutes in. And the water's about lukewarm right now. There's a nice sheen, kind of oil spill on the top. And I think that's mostly because of the B18A head, because I already had some like oil on it, and that instantly came off, but some of that deeper grime, I'm hoping that that soak is gonna clean up. And then at a later point, when I feel like taking those valves out, I was watching a video where they were saying that the valve tool that we use to get the valves out on the VTEC heads has a different spacing or blah de blah. I was only half listening, but there might be a different tool for that. But when it comes out of the hot tank and gets cleaned up, we'll check out those valves to see if any of those are bent. It doesn't seem like this thing was out of time. I showed from the timing gears, they were both facing the same on the cam, both the cam gears, sorry, to show the timing, and the belt was tight when I took it off. I was not able to get this off, but when one of the stands clears up, I'll get it up there and get the pistons out. I'm hoping that this vinegar treatment helps loosen them up. But yeah, that's just a scrub with that dish brush and the toothbrush. Those are my outside tools. Once they've worn out their usefulness inside the house, they come out here with me. So I'm gonna give it a quick rinse. I'm not even gonna bother putting on the pressure washer because I know this isn't going to fully clean this, but it's just gonna make it a lot cleaner to work with. Be right back. All right, for brevity's sake, this motor is pretty well cleaned up. I'm gonna have to go in on it again with a little scraper just to get some of that really heavy stuff off, especially on the back. I mean, that's, engine cleaner didn't even touch that. And in here, it's not super important that it's gonna be clean because there's gonna be a transmission on there when this is up and running again. But next time we come back, we'll have some progress with the hot tank. So we're just gonna cut it as to what we're doing with this, because this is gonna sit and dry at the moment. We'll come back with hot tank results. I think this is where we're gonna finish up. I will start part 3, hot tanking and B18A1 teardown are gonna be commingled. So right here we have just like my final results. I cleaned it with both my dish brush and with my toothbrush. And then after I rinsed it off, and oven cleaner was the substance I was using to break up a lot of that grease, and it did a good job. This has probably been sitting for 5+ years. And my goal is just to see what happens if you get a motor out the mud. I mean, almost literally clean it up on a budget, and you can see if you can get it running. I do not know a lot about DA and EF chassis, but because I have an EE or EF wagon, I'm trying to learn more. And so even though this is not the motor that's going into the wagon, I still want that to be all prepped. And let me show you where the hot tank is right now, and so you get an idea of what you'll be coming back to. I just want to build suspense. Fire's still raging at a very steady pace. I feel like on this side the water has slowed on the seeping out. On this side it's still as fervent as it was, like raindrops. But this was a good idea in the backyard because it protects us from the strong winds. I don't know if you can hear that. Y'all seen backdraft? Yeah, so you check with the back of your hand. Okay, so this is warm enough to touch. I don't want to keep open this either, but mostly I just want to see where the water level is at. And it's gone down a little bit, and I think that I might go in the house and fill up a bucket of hot water and dump it in here. That way I'm not dropping the temperature of this. But this is both these heads soaking in the Merc. Once again, that's a Zep citrus cleaner and just hose water. It's not distilled, it's nothing special. And it's just doing its thing. So I'm hoping all that grease is gonna come right off. I kind of want to do a quick test as it's sitting here. I know this is supposed to take hours, and Lord, please don't let me drop my phone in this soup. It'd be all bad. So on that head right here, it's super, the water's nice and warm. It's like bathtub hot. And it's been probably about an hour. So yeah, things are slimy, things are moving. On this one was pretty clean because I spent a lot of time cleaning the outside, so I'm not so much worried about that. This is mostly to free up the grease so that it lets go of all the metal shavings from when we ported it. So that's what's important with this. This is more of just a full clean, and we'll have to check it to make sure it didn't get warped and see if it's usable, because I'd love to have another build series, because I love not to finish projects, but this is where we're at. And so yeah, so part 3, when we come back, both the heads will be out, they'll be washed, and we'll see how this turned out. I think it's a pretty good deal. I think next time we will do some sort of welding, soldering, brazing, because caulking might not hold up to the heat that this is going to get up to. Sorry, the timer went off. That lets me know to come check this so that the water level doesn't drop too low. So let me get the top back on here. But yeah, we didn't know if caulk would hold up to how hot this was gonna get. All right, modified family, I hope this was interesting. I have seemed to watch every Honda video on YouTube. Most of them are 6+ years old. So I'd love to see some other creators spreading the word, maybe making some new videos. I mean, I know the love for the Hondas is still there. I would just like to see that in video. All right, until next time.